Well, the Lightning don't just win, they get the shutout. First one of the season, and that raises the question, is Andrei Vasilevskiy so back? We'll talk about it on today's Locked on Lightning.
You're Locked on Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked on Lightning your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. As always, we want to begin with a shout out to our everydayers, those of you who tune into every single show, every single day. We love you. Appreciate the support you give us week in, week out. I'm Nick Morgan, and I'm joined by the pumpkin pie to my apple pie, Greg Steven. Greg, welcome in, buddy.
Good morning. Good morning. Another great W by the Lightning with the shutout. Oh, man, just a fantastic game last night.
And you know what else we have to celebrate today, Greg?
What's that?
We hit the over-under.
Let's go.
For like the second time this season.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. We thought, it was going to be a low-scoring game, and then it actually did. No wild 10-8 finish in this one. Maybe our predictions are just so back.
Hopefully.
Maybe we're on a roll. Obviously, a lot to get to from the Lightning's 3-0 win over the Philadelphia Flyers last night. As we mentioned, big shutout for Andrei Vasilevskiy. We've been critical of him to start the season, to say the least. Mm-hmm. What's our take on this shutout and how he's played over the last week? Things seem to be turning in the right direction. Will they stay that way? Plus, if you've noticed these past couple of games, the Lightning have won with a lot of injuries and maybe a little bit of a different playing style. We'll dive into that conversation as well. First, though, before we get too far into the weeds, want to mention today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. All right, Greg, for those of our listeners who weren't able to catch the game last night, let's break down the Lightning's 3-0 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. This kind of started exactly how we thought it was going to. Not a lot of action either way. A little bit of a sloppy play all around for both the Flyers and the Lightning. But then towards the end of the first period, Brandon Hagel, again, comes through for the Lightning.
He is just on fire lately. I mean, he's unstoppable. And it's pretty great to see after how he kind of started pretty slowly in the first, 6 games of the season. And now it's just he's a whole new guy.
Yeah. Brandon Hagel gets the deflection off a shot from somebody. I don't know. It was a really good play.
From Lilleberg.
It was a really good play, Greg. Do you know who made that really, really good play to lead to the Hagel goal?
Yeah, Cooch. He made a great pass up to Lilleberg.
Just give Emil Lilleberg some credit, man.
No, Lilleberg blasted one from the top, so great play by him as well.
Yeah. Second period, Brandon Hagel again, Greg. And Kucherov chimes in here as well, but a good give and go. Kucherov springs Hagel. Hagel, great feed to Anthony Cirelli, who has a little backhand tip feed to make it 2-0. Great play here. I thought this was kind of the Lightning's offense at work here on this second goal, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hagel had some great patience to wait for that guy who laid down right in front of him. Just great play by all of them, really. Cooch with a great pass to Hagel as well. So,
yeah. The third period, some good action here. It seemed like there was a lot of breakaways for the Lightning. Obviously, the Flyers pushing down 2-0. Very physical, very strong forechecking. Lightning certainly got their chances on either odd man rushes or straight breakaways. I thought Samuel Ersson on the Flyers had a great game in goal for them. Mm-hmm. And then finally, empty net goal right at the end. You see kind of the unselfish play of multiple players here at work. Brandon Hagel feeds Nikita Kucherov on a 2-on-1. Nikita Kucherov could have easily put that in the net, but makes an extra pass when he notices the defense starts to overcommit, and Hagel gets his second of the game, an empty netter, makes it 3-0 Lightning, and that is the final score. Brandon Hagel, 2 goals, 1 assist. Nikita Kucherov, 3 assists in this one. Yeah, and then obviously the headline, 20 save shutout for Andrei Vasilevskiy. A lot to like from the Lightning in this game, Greg. Let's dive into our plus minus. Give me, obviously, a lot to choose from here. Give me a plus. Give me something you liked about this game.
Oof, there's quite a few things I would give a plus to in this one, but I think, what am I going to give it to? I'm going to give it to Brandon Hagel. I think you just have to. It seems really obvious, but he just played fantastic in this game. I mean, the first goal, excellent. But the second goal with the pass, like we were talking about, another just great play. And I don't know. I'm kind of torn between giving it to him and Kucherov. I think Kuch actually played a pretty solid game in this one, and he had a point on every single one of the goals. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I'll just do Hagel and Kuch. That's my plus.
There you go. Nice little 1-2 combination there from what has become the Lightning's top line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to give a plus to discipline in this game. This was something that even, the Lightning TV crew talked a little bit about yesterday, like, surprised there weren't more penalties on this one.
Yeah.
Look, we know the Lightning have a tendency to be a little bit aggressive, a little bit undisciplined. Philadelphia has some, big guys that like to get under people's skin. We saw some scrums here and there, but I think overall, I liked what I saw from the Lightning in not being baited into stupid penalties. Yes. They played hard, they played physical, but they also did so within sort of the context of the game. I also thought, we saw a couple players make really good sort of desperate defensive plays without crossing the line of it being a penalty. Right. I think one in particular, I want to say it was the second period, and you had a Lightning player breaking in. I want to say maybe Trevor Zegras had a little bit of a beat on Darren Radish, and Darren Radish was able to kind of skate back in here, keep his stick like firmly on the ground, hands on the stick, but was able to kind of body Trevor Zegras off his line a little bit. So that's a good example of a good defensive play where you're not holding, you're not just wielding the stick out there, potentially leading to a penalty shot. But I like the stick discipline, and I like sort of the physical discipline of, not crossing a line, not doing anything stupid, not taking a wild punch, at somebody, after the play, even though we did see one penalty like that. But that was also the Lightning's only penalty of the game.
Yeah, fantastic. And I feel like I've criticized their discipline maybe overly so.
I remember.
Yeah, I know you do. So to see this kind of style, really appreciate the discipline in this one for sure. Like that you brought that up.
Yeah. How about a minus, Greg? Give me something that you maybe didn't like about this game.
I know exactly what it is, and I think I used this yesterday. Giveaways, 17.
Yeah,
17 giveaways. Come on, man. Like, what are we doing? We gotta be a little better with the puck here. A little smarter. Look, obviously, it didn't ultimately matter, right? But I'm trying to pull up the individual giveaways here. Girgensons had 3, Gensel had 3, Kuch had 3. I think Kuch is the turnover king lately, and I'd like to see him fix that. But it's hard to criticize him when he puts up 3 points and wins the game. So,
yeah. I mean, we kind of said it yesterday, too, where we were like, we might have to just sort of withstand games like this for a little bit until people get 100%. Mm-hmm. And speaking of people need to get 100%, Greg, my minus goes to another key injury. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, we were talking about Eric Chernak and how well he's done, how much of a consistent force he's been. I want to say like 25 minutes after her podcast was published, we learned that Eric Chernak was going to be, according to Jon Cooper, quote, out for a while.
Right.
with an injury we didn't even see, and I don't think anybody in the Lightning universe saw. So it is bizarre. It is absolutely bizarre. Jon Cooper said this kind of reminds him of 2017 a little bit, which is not a good sign because that's when the Lightning missed the playoffs.
Yep.
But it is, crazy how the Lightning have had to kind of handle big injuries this early. And I'll tell you what, Greg, it's at the point where it's like any time a Lightning player like falls, gets hit, comes up a little gingerly, I'm like, oh God. Brandon Hagel got hit in the corner yesterday, got up a little bit slowly. I'm like, oh God. We saw like Anthony Cirelli blow a tire like on a 2-on-1 and was like kind of getting up awkwardly. The replay showed it got hit in the face, so it was like sigh relief. But like anytime like any Lightning player falls down or is slow to get up or is slow getting back to the bench, I'm like, here we go, man. Here we go.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, it's pretty scary. And I thought it was very interesting that we posted an episode and really kind of give Chernak some praise. And then, I log off my computer and 20 minutes later, I got a text from you and you're like, hey, Chernak's done. And I'm like,
yeah,
no.
Kiss of death for Chernak. It's bizarre. You do got to give the Lightning credit for winning some of these games like this. And we will talk about that a little bit more in depth about their actual play style that they've used to win some of these games. Also, I feel like one of the biggest pluses of the night is Andrei Vasilevskiy. Now, we've been critical of him to start the year. What do we think of his game now over the past week or so since that big meltdown against the New York Rangers? Are we officially ready to say that the old Vazzy is back? We'll debate that on today's Locked on Lightning podcast when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's not just hockey in full swing, folks. The NBA is back. And whether you're a fan of the Heat, the Magic, or another team in the association, there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, one of my favorite things to do, you can combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Here's something more exciting. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's right. All you have to do is download the app, sign up, put $5 down, and you can win $300 to use across the app. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. We're back on Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg, Steven, and Greg. Let's talk about Andrei Vasilevskiy. Obviously gets this first shutout of the year, first for the Tampa Bay Lightning for the year. It has been a complicated start to the season for Vazzy. Obviously, a little bit of a slow start stat-wise to begin the season. His numbers were starting to get better. He was starting to play a little bit more consistently, but obviously, as we mentioned, kind of had the case of the yips every now and then, would play really strong, but then let in a goal that you're like, seems like he should have made that save. And then obviously you and I had our show after the wheels fell off against New York, where there was, I would say, 3 goals he definitely should have saved.
Yep.
And you and I debated, okay, is it time to worry about Andrei Vasilevskiy? And we were sort of on the fence about it. Since that show, I think he's completely turned his game around. He's stolen a couple games. Obviously, another great game last night in which he's had some really strong saves. So I just want to ask, Greg, are we willing to say we're seeing the old Vazzy come back after a slow start to the year?
Yeah, hear me out. I want to say he never left.
Okay.
And I just think he did have a slow start. But, look, you got to look at people like Hagel too, right? We knew Hagel was amazing, and he had a terrible beginning to this season. And I would argue that that's kind of the same case for Vazzy. He had a slow start. Maybe he did have a little bit of an injury, because we knew something about the beginning of this year was off with him. I think here's my theory. My theory is that he knew that Rangers game was not good. And
Yeah.
I think since then, he's just like dialed mentally in, and he's like, I can never let that happen again. And I think sometimes those kind of games really help you as a player just refocus and look at yourself and say, I'm better than this. And I think that's kind of what's going on with him right now. That Rangers, I would argue since that Rangers game, he's looked absolutely elite. He absolutely saved that one game in overtime. What was that? Is it the Caps? I can't remember now.
Yeah, it was the Oilers.
The Oilers, yes.
In which he made just kind of that little lift up pad save that led to the Gensel goal on the other end.
Right. Great play, and then you get a shutout here in this one, right? So yeah. I think ever since that Rangers game, he's just looked like a new man.
I think that's a very interesting take, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of, like when a young player is not necessarily playing super well, you'll send him down to the AHL to kind of not as like a punishment, but just kind of to like reset him, get his mind right a little bit. Or, if it's a more veteran player, you might healthy scratch him for a game and be like, look, this isn't a punishment. This is just a chance for you to maybe take a step back and look at your game.
Yep.
Obviously, you can't do either of those things with Andrei Vasilevskiy. So I think you're right in that him maybe just taking a step back from that Rangers game, getting pulled, sitting there for the third period, maybe a little bit of a way for him to take a look at his game and what's been working, what hasn't. And look, obviously, every goal, he's going to let in some fluky goals here and there. But, we mentioned his numbers were way below kind of what they were, but it does feel like maybe that was the impetus for him starting to turn some things around.
Yes, I completely agree. I think he just looks really good now, though. And I don't feel concerned because, like you said, I think, players in general have bad stretches of games. And then players in general, or I'll say goalies in general, have games where they let in some fluky goals. And I think both of those happened to him. And I think he's snapped out of it at this point. And I'm sure we'll see another game down the road in this season where he lets in some fluky goals because that's just how life works. But I think, he's here. He's playing well. And he's a big part of why they can win these games through all the injuries they have.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, you need that right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you don't have Hedman. You don't have McDonough. It sounds like you're not going to have Chernak. We still haven't heard too much on Braden Point yet. Didn't play in last night's game. Obviously, Nikita Kucherov was fine. So that was a little bit of a relief. But, obviously you're missing a lot of key players right now. You're not necessarily going to win or play your cleanest hockey. You're going to need Andrei Vasilevskiy to come through. And that kind of leads me into the next topic I want to talk about, Greg, and that is the Lightning winning with a little bit of a different style. We've talked about, the giveaways. We've talked about maybe a little bit of sloppy play. Is this just something that fans are going to have to deal with for a little bit? Let's dive into that conversation when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is in full swing and nothing beats being in the arena for a big game. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total nightmare. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that seem to jump right before you hit buy, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's why I use Game Time. It's the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. It's not just hockey either. Anytime that I go anywhere, whether it's a sporting event, whether it's a concert, a comedy show, or even some theater, the first thing I do is pull up Game Time. All I do is look for the zone deals. I look in kind of the general area where I want to sit, and the zone deals pick my seats for me at great prices. I also love that Game Time shows me the view of my seat, the exact view before I hit buy. So I know what my view looks like. I know I'm not sitting behind any weird beams or anything like that. Plus, right now, You can even find some NHL tickets for under $25. So go take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off with Game Time. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. We're back on Locked On Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Steven. Greg, we're talking about the Lightning's 3-0 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. And as you mentioned, just like we mentioned after that Washington game, wasn't pretty. Wasn't the best all-around hockey from the Tampa Bay Lightning. But they found a way to get it done. And for me, I think this is just sort of going to be the expectation for the Tampa Bay Lightning for a while. And look, obviously, I would love to come on this show after every game and be like, oh, the Lightning only had like 5 giveaways in this game. That's solid. Or, hey, the Lightning outshot their opponent, 35-20. We won 5-1. We all went off for, tea and toast afterwards. Great
tea and toast.
Tea and toast. Great combination. But I think realistically, when you look at sort of what this team's been through over the past month with just injury after injury after injury, not just to depth guys, but key guys who are part of your lineup, it's amazing that the Lightning have been able to find ways to win. And I think you're if you're the Lightning, obviously you're still a division favorite. Obviously you're still packed full of some of the best players in the NHL. I do think you have to adjust your mindset a little bit and maybe play a little bit more like an underdog and find ways to sort of grit out games like you've done the past couple of games. And so far, at least for these last 2, they've been doing a really good job of that.
Yeah, they have. And some interesting games, right? Recently,
Yeah.
that you really think they should, I'm not going to say shouldn't win, but, wouldn't win. And yeah, like you said, with all the injuries that have existed and continue to exist, you got to find different ways to win games. And they've been doing that so well. And guys have been stepping up. I think for me, I'm very concerned about Braden Point this year, right? And now he's not even playing. And we don't really totally know why or what's up with him, right?
Some sort of injury. We just don't know what.
Right. Yet, still, the stars on this team step up. Like Kucherov has done his part, I think, in the last 12 games, maybe. I'm just going to call it. He's looked so good. He looks like Nikita Kucherov, and I think him stepping up in these moments is critical. You need him to play the way he's been playing, and you need guys like Hagel to play the way that he's been playing. And I think a guy we did not mention yesterday, who really stepped up when needed, was Cirelli.
Yeah.
I thought Cirelli looked excellent yesterday, and he does in most games, let's be fair. But yesterday in particular, he really did. He kind of filled that void in my eyes for Braden Point. And, Cooch needs Point generally. That's that combo has existed, for a long time now.
Yeah.
And I think Cirelli did a really good job of filling in that slot for Cooch in this game. And I think that is very good moving forward because it's something now that they have learned works. And when Pointer is out, now they know, okay, well, Cooch and Cirelli and Hagel, that looks great. Let's roll that. And I think that's something you can rely on. One thing I will say is it felt like the lower half of the lineup in this past game did not do anything impressive.
A little quieter.
Yeah. I think in the last couple of games, they've been a bit quiet in my eyes. So I would like to see them return to form. We haven't really seen a ton out of Yanni lately, right? A couple guys in the lower half of the lineup that I'd like to see more from. And as far as catering your game with a different style, I think was your major overall theme here. Curtis Douglas, I think, has fought in a bunch of these games now. And I think it's actually like he doesn't win them all.
He lost again last night.
That's what I was saying. Doesn't win them
I
all,
mean,
but
Nick Delorier is a really good player, or
yeah.
not. I mean, really good fighter. Really good fighter. Maybe not really good player, but really good fighter.
And the same goes for Tom Wilson when he lost that one, right? But
except Tom Wilson is a great player.
Yes, he is, and I still think that was beneficial to the team. I think it gives energy, hypes up the crowd, and I like that he kind of has been an instigator out there in that regard, because it kind of gets under the skin of the other team, and that's when Cooch beats you. So I like that. It's like a sneaky combo where like you get beat up, and then all of a sudden Kucherov's out there and he's lighting you up with his stick. So I don't know. I like how they've been playing lately.
Yeah. And it's also one of those things where it's like the Flyers had just a ton of pressure, and then all of a sudden it's just like a puck bounces the wrong way, and you look behind you, and there's Nikita Kucherov and Anthony Cirelli on a 2-on-1 going the other way, and you're like, how did that happen?
Right.
Yeah, I feel like the counter has sort of been a big part. Is that sort of counter attack where you're able to withstand, and then all of a sudden you get a good breakout pass, and you have a breakout the other way.
Yes.
I feel like that's key to this too, is, making sure that you have people that can make you pay when they see an opening, or they catch you maybe sleeping defensively or pushing too hard. That's also, I think, a key to success for this Lightning team. It's interesting that you brought up Anthony Cirelli, because honestly, let's face it, he's been the number one center this year.
Yeah.
In terms of quality of play.
In terms of everything.
He's been the best center of the team. And I'm wondering if this combination keeps up, if we don't see more of a lineup shakeup when people start getting healthy again.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I think Jake Gensel right now is a little bit in no man's land, just because I don't think he has kind of like a consistent number 2 guy to play with. And it seems like Hagel and Cirelli have been the guys kind of with Cooch.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting to see if, Jon Cooper is willing to maybe try something else on the top of the lineup, because right now those 3 people in particular are playing with absolute fire.
Yeah, they are. And I really like the point you made. I want to hit it again. These guys finish. And
yes,
when it's like a odd man rush or a breakaway or whatever it is, they finish the play. And that's what we've seen a lot lately from Cooch, Hagel, Cirelli. I'm going to throw Nick Paul in there with his 1 goal. But yes, exactly. But that's a great point. I really like that you said that, because that is true, that these guys all finish. They finish plays.
Yeah, and they're going to need people. Obviously, these past couple of games, the Lightning haven't had a lot of shots on goal. They haven't had a lot of, consistent pressure, just because it's hard to do that when half of your key players are injured. Mm-hmm. So it is going to be important for the Lightning to, when they do get chances, to be able to put it away. And like, as we mentioned yesterday, luckily so far they have. So we'll have to see if it continues up. Hey, on tomorrow's show, you mentioned Brandon Hagel, Greg. Mm-hmm. Brandon Hagel has been outstanding this last little bit, and when you dive into his numbers, they're unreal what he's done over the past month or so of hockey. We're going to do a deep dive into his game on tomorrow's show. We will also have a preview of the Lightning taking on the Flames, and then on Thursday, I want to let everybody know what we're doing, and Greg, I'll let you chime in on this. We have a special show planned for Thursday Thanksgiving as a way to say thank you to all the fans.
Yes,
Greg, you want to chime in and say what we're doing?
We're doing a little thunder clash up, if you will, where we're going to have a little compilation of some of the people who've been on the show, and it's going to be fun. I think you get to see everyone who's talked with us and interacted with us. I actually had another little fun idea that I'm going to include in the video as well, but
that's news even to me.
Yeah, it is, and just looking forward to sharing it with everyone. So
yeah, it's our way to say thank you to the fans, and our way to kind of let you guys take over the show for a little bit. We're excited for that. Also, more coming up later this week that we will get to. Obviously, tomorrow, we mentioned new episode, Lightning Flames preview coming up. Lots of good stuff ahead. Be sure to hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever. Not only helps us with our numbers, but it helps you guys know when we have fresh content ready for you. You can also follow us on our socials, Locked On Lightning on Instagram, TikTok, pretty much anywhere you scroll, find us there. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Lightning. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Back with a fresh episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.